Good morning, good morning. Okay, so Be'ezus Hashem this week, Pirkei Avos Perek Beis. And Mr. Shem, there are 21 Mishnayos here, so we will be doing out of 6 days, I guess some days 3, some days 4, depending on the times. So let's get started right away. Perek Beis Mishnah Aleph. Rabbi Omer Ezuhi Derech Yishara Shiyavar Lei Ha'adam. What is a proper path? And this is a proper path for, a rule of thumb for living life that a person should choose. Kol shehi tiferes lo iseha v'tiferes lo min ha'adam. Anything that is beautiful, anything that is works. The Rav says anything that's easy for that's good for you, for you, and for other people. In other words, other people are appreciative of it as well. And this is an interesting point that a lot of times we say, and we do say that the correct attitude is you work for Hashem and you don't care about what other people think. I'm here for Hashem. To take that out to the extreme is not proper. The point is, yes, you're working for Hashem. A good gauge to know if your work is on the right path is if other people are appreciative of you. Look how many people like Rosh Yeshiva and people who work on themselves and work on their midas their whole life. If you're appreciated by people, that means that you can be assured that you're not assured. I'm saying that is a good gauge to know that you're on the right path. Of course, there are people who like Rishoyim also, but if you're working with good midas and you're running with good midas, so then you know that you're on the right path. Now, of course, the Mishnah Berurah at the beginning says that, of course, if you know that people hate you, but you're right 100%, then that's the most important thing. Just generally, a good gauge to know is if people are appreciative of you. Sometimes you gotta, do the right thing, even though people don't like it. That's your job. You have to be better to be called a shaita your whole life by people than a rasha by Hashem. So, nevertheless, it's somebody who runs with the middle ground, with the golden mean of running the middle ground on all the midos. He's not an extremist either way. Then he does good. He will be appreciated by most people. The Mishnah continues: A person should be careful with minor mitzvahs that people don't really care about, just like serious mitzvahs, because all of them are. First of all, the Mishnah explains you don't know which one is actually going to net you a reward, but the idea is that they're all straight from Hashem. Imagine Hashem tells you to do something, be it large or small. You should run after doing it. Who cares? Large or small, based on what the world views. Who cares what the world views? Hashem told you to do something. Again, we'll go back to our mashal of imagine you meet Michael Jordan on the road. Don't you think if he asks you for a cell phone, you'd be happy to give it to him? If he asks you something bigger, you'd be happy. Large or small, you're dealing. Of course, this mashal is a terrible mashal when we're talking about Hashem, but just to bring it down to earth. So you have to go ahead and you're working for Hashem. If a king asks you to do something, be it mild or major, there is the king's word attached to it, and that makes everything memela major. Look at the loss that you get for a mitzvah relative to the eventual gain that you'll get from doing the mitzvah. How much does it cost to buy an esrog? $200, whatever it is. So you get a major mitzvah of esrog. How much does it cost to give $1 to an ani? How much does it cost? Mitzvahs l'maisa cost money, but at the same time, they get you so much more than the cost. And how much pleasure does an avera get you based on the loss and the eventual loss? And of course we can say that it means in this world also. A person who does an avera feels silly, feels icky afterwards. That loss, based on the momentary pleasure that he got, calculate it, and you'll see it doesn't work out. Focus on 3 things, and you won't come to sin, and that are know what is above you. Hashem is watching you. Who is watching you? I and Roy. Hashem is watching you, so He's able to see everything. Don't think that Hashem is up there and He's not caring. Every single thing you do is being videoed and recorded. And everything you do is written down. You have these people who are, act differently in private than they do in public. Just know that there's a video on. Imagine a person who's in a room by himself. So I'm not saying, things that people do by themselves, even if it's not an Averis, but they act differently sometimes by themselves, in a clean example, they clear out their nose sometimes differently then sometimes you walk into a room and you see somebody involved. It's happened just recently. You knock on the door and whatever, the person doesn't hear you, you surprise somebody, and they're using other methods to clean out the nose than people would generally clean in public. So I'm sorry for this silly example, but the point is that people do things differently in private than they do in public. Now, that's not a great example because you're not really embarrassed of Hashem in that way, but at the same time, if you knew that there was a video camera on, you wouldn't be doing that. So again, I apologize for the example, but if you weren't, if you knew there was a video there, and who knows if somebody's watching, when you know somebody's watching, then certainly you wouldn't be doing it. Certainly if it involves an Avera. Rabbi Gamliel ben Oishel, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi Omer, Yafa Talmud Torah im derech eretz Mishna Beis, that Torah with work, with going to work is good. Yafa Talmud Torah im derech eretz. Sheyigia shneim, because if you do both of them, then mishkachas oven, you will not come to sin. Because if a person finishes off the other idea, if you only have Torah without work, will eventually become wasted and it will cause sin. Why will it cause sin? Either because you'll have to steal in order to, in life, people need money in order to survive. So if you don't go to work and you don't earn money, how are you going to survive? And second of all, if a person is just living and there's no reason for him to produce, it's just an eventual olam haba, then things will start petering out. So a person who was a Rabbi, so he has to produce, that's his job. Even if a person is in Kailo, that became a job. And Memela, although his job is to learn all day, but you have to go show up to Seder on time, so that's considered a job. It's just, if a person sits at home with absolutely no job and nothing, so then it's not a good idea. Of course, it's mufurish in the Gemara that this is for the Hamoin Am. There are specific yechidim that are able to do it. And when I say yechidim, I mean real yechidim. Let's say the Chazanish and Reb Chaim Kanievsky, people who don't have a job and Alpha Pikein are able to sit and learn all day. But we're talking a handful per generation. The average person is not able to do this, and even the above average person is not able to do this. You have to have some sort of job. But have a note that Rabbi Aaron Cutler already changed society, that nowadays being in Koil is sufficient to be considered a job, and that would be the best job a person can get. Here he is, he's working in Torah. If you're working with the tzibur, if you're working with the tzibur, you should work the Shem Shemaim, because the zechus of their fathers will help you out the tzidkasim and mendes la'ad, but you should. What this means is that do l'shem shemaim. Don't do it for thanks. Don't do it for people, because if you're waiting to get thanks and you're working in the tzibur, you're going to get really, really upset really, really quickly because it doesn't come. It's tzidkasim mendes la'ad, and of course there are many people who say thank you, but based on the level of a person who's expecting the thanks, he's never going to get enough thanks. Let me say that there are many people in the tzibur who do say thank you and who are appreciative to their rabbeim, and that's definitely appreciated, being in that position. But if a person is doing it for the thanks and he's doing it for the covet, it's usually not enough. And however, so work for the tzibur, and I will make schar, a lot of schar, you will get a lot of schar if you work with the tzibur, even though it's be'ikr that tzibur zechus that's doing it. Nevertheless, Hashem is going to consider it as if he's doing it. The Meiser, we're way over time over here, so I'll stop here for today, even though we only did 2 Mishnayos. Have an amazing day.